Welcome back to Bandwagon Fans. I'm Jeff.
Hey, I'm Jason.
Waylon.
And tonight this is going to be our spoiler discussion for Red Sparrow. If you wanted to see more of a synopsis of the movie or just a quick overall views, you can check our non-spoiler review. If you've already seen the movie, then hang out with us for a few minutes because we're gonna get into some spoilers and maybe some disagreements about the movie, or maybe we're just going to get bored and stop talking about it. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So this was Red Sparrow, starring Jennifer Lawrence, Jeremy Irons, Joel Edgerton, and Matt. I'm going to butcher this name. Matthias Schoenaerts.
I think it's. I could be mistaken.
Directed by Francis Lawrence and based on a novel by Jason Matthews. So, just quick review. Jason, kind of 2.5 out of 5 stars. Waylon, a little bit
middling to good.
More. Me, not a great movie. Probably it's not going to be on any top 10 list, but definitely worth going and seeing. I gave it a BB7. So, you say paint by numbers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have this character, Jennifer Lawrence, who has this great life, working as a ballerina through the system. Everything's taken care of. Her mom is an invalid. She needs her mom to have nursing.
Not an invalid.
But crippled.
Yeah.
She walks with a cane. She's ill. She's maimed. And so she has an accident. She's a ballerina.
Well, in the non-spoiler, I said it was an accident. It really wasn't an accident.
Well, okay, right. It turns out we were going to get to that when the scene. It appears to be an accident.
It looks to be an accident, but it's really her dance partner intentionally breaking her.
Right.
leg.
You'll find out a little later why. A few scenes later why. But immediately after that, we see her, being taken to the hospital and getting her leg fixed, and people talk about how her career is over, and she wakes up and realizes that very fact.
And then her uncle informs her that that's when her uncle comes in,
right?
Head of the SVU, Russian intelligence, and informs Jennifer that. And I'm just going to call her Jennifer because she has too many names in this movie to remember all.
Yeah, right.
So it tells Jennifer that her partner intentionally broke her leg.
Shows her photos.
Yeah, because he's trying to get his girlfriend into her part. And then J-Law, we almost call her J-Lo. J-Law takes her cane
to beat the living shit out of them.
Yeah. Which was kind of a daring choice that early in the movie, because now the lead character, our audience is really going to sympathize with her now that they know how violent she's capable of being.
Well, yeah, she was pretty pissed.
Yeah, it did not hold back. Even the scene where she got her leg broken, even you cringed a little.
Oh yeah, that compound fracture was pretty gnarly.
It was like Joe Theismann's. Like you could you could turn her into the J-Law pencil sharpener with her leg.
Lawrence Taylor was apologizing for that one.
Yeah. I think Lawrence Taylor hit her. It's like, it looked like Ernest Biner's finger sticking up. Like it was broken.
Yeah.
And then. So after this, her uncle uses that as leverage to get her to perform a job.
No, yeah, I mean, her uncle comes and he says, fearless leader needs Natasha and Boris to go get Moose and Squirrel.
Yes.
So, but about as great of an accent as Natasha had in the cartoon, I might add.
Yeah. So
not too great of an accent on Jennifer Lawrence's part.
Yeah, it was
serviceable.
So this is an issue in a lot of movies where you have people that are who are foreign. In this case, everybody in the movie is Russian except for the few CIA agents. Yet they're speaking in English with a Russian accent, and then occasionally they'll slip into Russian, and it's.
And it talked like this, comrade. Hello, I'm from Russia, and I love things from Russia.
It was
bears and red.
It is mildly distracting, and then like we mentioned in the non-spoiler video, this looks like whoever made this movie only knows about Russia
from Cold War films,
80s movies.
Yeah,
through Red Heat.
Yeah, it was.
Everything about the way the Russians operated, was a throwback to the KGB days. You know?
Yeah, it's like, where's Rocky? You know, I thought he was going to be sent over there to fight for us.
Yeah. Now, setting all that stuff aside, what kept me engaged in the movie, and there were moments where the movie almost lost me. The horror school she gets sent to, which it featured in all the trailers, all of that, I almost checked out. As scandalous as the sex stuff in there was, it actually got kind of boring for me. But once it gets into the main the thrust of the story, where Jennifer Lawrence meets Joel Edgerton, the CIA agent, that's when things really started driving for me, because there was the constant tension of whose side is she on?
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth going on. You didn't know
and that's really what made the movie worthwhile for me, and it's really the biggest saving grace of the movie. Otherwise, I agree with you guys, a lot of it was forgettable, but they maintained that tension, and I'll see if I can explain this. So she is being used by her uncle and the Russian government to work a CIA agent to identify his mole in the Russian government. And the CIA agent knows that she's a spy. She comes out to him right away.
Right. Okay, now question here.
Yeah.
The uncle, obviously, all right, knew her whole life. Knew what type of person she is, the personality, what he was looking for, the ballerina, the skills, if you will, the athletic skills, everything in there. So my question to you, made it appear that her partner, her ballerina partner, injured her on purpose because he wanted this new girl to take her place. But I ask you this, really, was he hired by the uncle?
Oh, yeah. They kind of implied that later in the film.
Okay, well then there you go. You see, because
everything was a setup.
Yeah, it wasn't out there, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, the shower scene just made it look like she went in there and she figured out, oh, he just wanted this, this girl to replace because he's screwing her.
Yeah, but even that was a setup.
But
and the uncle had all. Yeah, I kind of got that impression.
Sure.
I thought you were going to ask
when Jeremy Irons talks to her, he kind of says as much to her.
Right.
What I thought you were going to ask is, if the uncle knows her so well and he's so good at this, how could he get blinded by her? Because at the end of the movie, she does end up turning on her uncle. She finds that. So, all right. Spoiler. This is a spoiler movie review, anyways. Jeremy Irons, who is her uncle's superior, actually turns out to be the mole. But instead of turning in Jeremy Irons, she turns in her uncle, who wasn't the mole, but she sets him up. She double crosses her uncle. So I thought you were going to ask, if the uncle knows her so well, how could he be duped? And it really comes down to the line kept coming over and over again, how well she can see what people want and feeding people what they want.
Yeah.
And at the whole time, since she was a little kid,
her uncle had eyes for her.
Yeah.
There was some really, and there was
the mom mentioned.
We even get the scene there where he would do it if she went all the way with him, like
definitely. So there was a scene
the
where
mom says she protected her from her
mom
uncle.
knew, right, given those subtle looks and everything, those subtle gestures, the way she did. She knew what was going on.
So I mentioned a couple times that this felt like an 80s Cold War movie.
It makes me think that maybe the author, because I read that he was a career CIA officer, maybe when in the heyday of his career it was the Soviet era.
But does it, in a way, could this be like the first movie in what will be a wave, like a second wave of Cold War movies, considering what's going on in our own politics?
I think we're getting a new wave of retro movies. I think these movies like the one we saw last week with Annihilation, like going back to 80s sci-fi type of stuff, and this going back to 80s espionage, and you got a remake of Death Wish going back to that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think movies are kind of getting like a little subtly, like they're getting grittier and they're going back to more basics and more.
Definitely a cyclical thing, but I'm looking specifically at
the political,
the reemergence of Russia as
a
the
boogeyman.
stock enemy.
Yeah.
And in the next Creed movie, who's he fighting?
Ivan Drago's son.
Ivan Drago's son.
Yeah. Well, you know, Russia never kind of ever entirely went away as a convenient boogeyman. Even after the Cold War ended, you always had movies with Russian heavies. You know,
Yeah.
maybe not as much, but they never vanished altogether.
No, yeah, you're right. But I do think there's, and we'll see.
It went from the Russian government, and then you had movies where it was like the Russian mafia, and then this is kind of like back to the Russian government being bad guys, I guess. So I can kind of see what you mean there.
Yeah, because there was a period in world politics where Russia and the U.S. were damn near allies. And,
a little brief period there.
Yeah, and that might be over, at least for most of, who knows. It's so confusing right now. But I do think Hollywood is picking up on that. And so we'll probably look forward for the next 5 to 10 years of being poorly misinformed about Russia and Russian people, because I don't think they all sit around and smoke cigarettes.
Chain smoke.
I will say, okay.
And plot.
I didn't cover this in the non-spoiler video. Some of the cinematography of this was gorgeous.
Yeah, no, this was a really good-looking movie.
Yeah.
It was well shot.
Yeah.
Like, nothing about this movie was poorly crafted.
No.
You know.
Yeah. It's particularly the initial scenes, the ballet, and in that theater was gorgeous. There were some really good wide-angle shots.
Nice composition.
Yeah, some really, really beautiful composition. I got to start looking up who these cinematographers are. Kudos to the cinematography. The acting, you're right about the accents, and the accents were sloppy and in and out.
Although Joel Edgerton does a top-notch American accent. That guy fooled me the first time I saw him.
Yeah, he's not American.
He's Australian.
I don't. What is it with the Australians?
It's creepy. They can fool you.
Yeah, they're the best American actors we have going.
Yeah, they are.
Except Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. But overall, accents aside, I think the acting was really good.
No, there was nothing over the top about
Jennifer Lawrence. This is now the second movie in a row with this and last year's Mother, where she has really put herself through some paces. So you have to at least give her credit for the risks she's willing to take.
Well, all that crap she got for X-Men, what was the last
Apocalypse?
one?
She didn't care, and I don't blame her.
And it showed. Accent aside, I mean, she nails all the emotional beats in this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Yeah. And there's becoming like this new thing. You haven't seen Mother yet, but there's like this new thing of extreme close-ups on Jennifer Lawrence's face. Yeah. There were a couple of Mother flashbacks in this movie.
It's a nice face.
It is, but it's there was one scene at the end, towards the end, where her uncle is not marching, but he's walking into a room. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but they were using a wide-angle camera inside of a room, and it really distorted the perspective. And, And I don't know if that was intentional to show that things were shifting in terms of how he was going to be viewed, but it was a nice little subtle trick of... So if you use a wide-angle lens, it does tend to blow things out of perspective. So you actually try to correct for that. This time they maximized that, and it was a nice little trick. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the best part of this movie. The best scene, the gal getting hit by the car. That was hilarious. Came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
that was the most unexpected.
That was a
twist.
good crunch too.
That was the best twist of the whole movie. Better than the mole, or better than her giving up her uncle. All that stuff. Best twist was the American trader getting hit by the car.
Mary Louise Parker, right?
Mary Louise Parker. Okay, yeah.
So
all paranoid, drunk off her butt.
I thought she was going to commit suicide. I knew she was going to get hit by a car.
She was a chief of staff to a senator that was selling.
Well, I mean, they were following her.
Secrets.
They were following her, so you thought she was either going to get caught or shot or something.
Actually, that's the one
car
thing,
was just
that
funny,
was the one.
man.
I actually thought the car was coming, but I thought she was going to commit suicide. I didn't see it. I didn't.
Now, like, so was that an assassination, or was she just not looking?
She wasn't looking.
Yeah, it was a
Because
random
you heard her
thing.
even radio to the guy. We lost her. She got hit by a car.
It took me a minute to figure out whether that was a hit or whether it was like a freak accident.
I'm pretty sure that.
Later on, they kind of made it sound like it was just she was drunk.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then there was a Russian guy in a nearby room overlooking it, so he saw everything that happened. But and that's what tipped the Russians off to. There was a whole sequence in the movie where Jennifer Lawrence was trying to work for the Americans, and she ended up getting caught by the Russians, and then it led to a whole scene of her getting tortured, where she did a really good job and the screenplay did a really good job of making it plausible that she had never betrayed Russia from the get-go, that she was always on mission, on point.
And then, of course, you also get the twist, like, she goes to the American that she's befriended, they sleep together, and then next morning, he's tied up with a wire around his neck from this, the madman psycho.
Assassin. Yeah.
There's always one of those guys that loves the torture aspect of what he's doing, gets off on it. And she's even there. She binds his ankles and the wrists to the chair, and it seems like she's all with him. She even goes so far as to take this, he has this peeler that he's peeling the guy's skin off.
Skin graft tool.
And she even goes so far as she takes and starts doing it.
Yeah.
Really
To sell
trying to
the
convince
scene.
the guy.
Now that whole scene, I think I knew that she was.
You could
the
kind of-
double cross.
Sure.
you can see it in her eyes.
But
I've seen enough
she
professional wrestling to see that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the face turn was definitely coming, but she did sell it.
Yeah, of course she did.
And it was plausible that the bad Russian guy in the scene would believe that she was. Still
Oh
on his
yeah,
side.
yeah.
Well, especially involving herself with the torture. That sold it.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like it comes down to she knew how to read everybody. Even the guy.
I think we're gonna. We only got a couple minutes left,
Sure.
so there's one thing I wanted to hit.
the Deadpool trailer when he's playing with the action figures. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that's been out.
Best scene of the night.
Wow.
I know, it's just great.
No, it's all right. I lost it.
Oh,
it's all right.
Oh.
So
Jennifer Lawrence, Russia, torture. Come on, it's coming back.
Nudity.
Nudity.
Sex.
Flaccid penises.
Oh. Actually, so I heard a couple people mention that this is basically the R-rated Black Widow.
Black Widow.
So, and it goes back to the whole Russian stereotype of the ballerina, the femme fatale, and it is that part of it is.
I definitely.
No,
see it.
I definitely can see that.
Before we wrap here in about a minute, I just want to ask.
Yeah.
When they make the Black Widow movie, would you want to see it rated R?
Like intense scenes like of the torture, the persecution, and all that trial stuff. No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I don't need it.
I don't.
Never did need it. I mean, as far back as you go back with Black Widow, you never had that in the Marvel comics, so I bring it into the movies.
Yeah, I just threw it. I actually agree with you. I think it would actually detract from what they've built with Scarlett Johansson and Black Widow.
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, thanks for joining our discussion. Like I said, I really enjoyed the movie. Not a great movie, but I enjoyed it.
I'm about on par with you there.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed Jennifer Lawrence's bum. So there we go.
That was good too.
All right. So thanks for watching. I'm Jeff.
Jason.
And Waylon.
Get on the bandwagon.
Happy trails.